have some people who react in objective way, try to understand, and people react emotional way. And of course, I suffered from that. And I have people who make a protest against me, distribute pamphlet against me, and I saw a lot of things like this.
We've all experienced that, Your Eminence.
Welcome to Coffee with Bishop Suriel, a podcast for all things Coptic. This is a conversation about authentic Christian faith, Coptic history, patristic writings, the family, arts and music, religious education, youth matters, evangelism, and much more. Bishop Suriel likes his coffee like he likes his conversation, light, sweet, and scorching. We'll be joined by an array of guests who'll share their experiences, their backgrounds, and their insights to bring about an exciting discussion, and we hope you agree. Enjoy the podcast, and please welcome our host, Bishop Suriel. As we're celebrating an amazing milestone in the history of the Coptic Church in the United States, the Silver Jubilee of Metropolitan Serapion's ministry in Los Angeles, this is part 3 of the 4-part series. Here's His Grace and our very esteemed guest. Your Grace?
I would like to welcome back His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion to continue this fascinating conversation that we began last week. If you recall, we learned so much about the early upbringing, education, monastic life, and about those who influenced him early in his ministry and teen years. So now we will move to discuss the Silver Jubilee and the past 25 years of ministry in the Diocese of Los Angeles. Can Your Eminence tell us about the idea of the formation of the Diocese of Los Angeles and about having a permanent bishop and how all of this came about?
During the visits of His Holiness Pope Shenouda, of blessed memory, to the churches in land of immigration, because after the long trip of 1989, when he visited almost all the churches in North America and in Australia, which this trip took 4 months.
And then 117 days, if I recall.
Yeah, I remember it by months. Because started in August and ended in December.
Yeah.
And of course, we visited Sydney.
Yes.
We were graced there. And after that, His Holiness started to visit regularly, even once, twice a year. And in every visit, always the question which was raised is, we need a bishop. And it was a concern about having a diocesan bishop, how to be done. And then at the end, His Holiness started, set a plan regarding North America to have different dioceses and 2 areas to be under the Patriarch directly, which at that time, the New York and New Jersey and Southern California. And then he started to fill, in this plan, I remember, which is done in the early 90s, that is in North America to have the Diocese of the East, which started from Boston down to South Carolina, and the West, which started from even Alaska down to North California, and in the Midwest Diocese, and this is the Diocese of the Southern United States, which is from Florida to Arizona, which is the Diocese of His Grace Bishop Yusuf, and in Canada to have a Diocese of Toronto and Diocese of Montreal, and there was 2 archdioceses. And then he started to fulfill this plan by sending His Grace Amba Yusuf to be a general bishop for the Diocese of Southern United States. And then by the time and by the visits, His Holiness changed this plan and decided to have a diocese in Southern California, which was Archdiocese. That's why it only Southern California, because at that time was only 1 or 2 churches in Northern California, and the rest to Oregon, Seattle, Vancouver, just one church. So if he took all California, then it means this diocese will end. So either to have the bishop to have the whole West Coast, or just to have Southern California and give a chance to another bishop. So the decision was just to keep the area of Archdiocese, which was many churches here. And he added Hawaii. And of course, Hawaii was not in the horizon. But when he visited Hawaii in 1989, he loved the area, he loved the people. And in every visit to going from America to Australia to stop in Hawaii and Honolulu and pray there. And he felt the need to have a church there. And that's why he decided to send your grace as the first permanent priest in Hawaii.
I call it the honeymoon period of my ministry.
For them, of course, the golden time in Hawaii mission. So when he has the diocese, he put Hawaii with the diocese because he felt that this will help. If Hawaii remain not belong to a diocese, of course, it need a support, at least human support, resources support. And I think also, he find like a kind of a compensation for me, because people always say to him, why a bishop to have 10 states, another, because both me and Ambassador Yusuf and me and so on in the same year. So how can a bishop to have 10 states and a bishop even not the full state? So he had Hawaii. I always tell His Holiness, this is like a cake. Hawaii is the sherry, which is put at the top of the cake.
Very true.
That is why the idea came, and His Holiness finds that is. Of course, I was not the first choice for this diocese. The first choice was Ambassador, because he was taking care of the area. When the plan for 2 archdioceses, I was assigned to take care of the archdiocese in New York and New Jersey, and the ambassador to take care of the archdiocese here and make a papal residence. So when it
But he was already Bishop of Port Said, so how would that have been possible?
Yeah, that was a question which raised at that time. So whether he will be both, but the intention of His Holiness is just to move him, and this was the first time that we hear that is the canon, the apostolic canon, say if there is a case of necessity. He said that's why he told me, and when I asked it, and also raised by other bishops like late Metropolitan Bishoy, how a diocesan bishop to move to be in another diocese. His Holiness, his answer, the canon says that. But after that, he changed it. He felt he will do something new, create maybe a reaction, not against ambassadors, of course, and against the idea. And also people start to raise questions. He felt this is already, we have issues here.
Yes.
Don't need new issues. That's why His Holiness, his plan, when find an area where there is a tension, he brings someone has nothing to do with this area. Like Masan, Bishop of Social Affairs. It was tension. And some need this bishop, some afraid from that bishop. Then he decided to ordain me. I was not known to them and didn't know about the bishopric before. I have no any history with them. Even I just went to it once in my life before being a bishop for the diocese. So I didn't know even what they are doing. The same also, in California, I only come when His Holiness coming, or I come just because bless California. But
Yes.
I never involved in the issue of the church. In the opposite, I was deeply involved in the churches in the East Coast.
Yes.
يعني, to have the residents, any issues there, they need a priest, and like يعني, not supervising them. Even I get the green card in United States because of my mission in the East Coast. That's why my social security number belonged to the East Coast, not here.
And what was Your Eminence also involved in the setting up of the constitution of the churches?
Yes, that's right. Yani, His Holiness, after the issue of Chicago, they form a committee with Amba Bishoy and myself and Abuna Mikhail Edward, yani, Mr. Magid Riyad, this memory, and we worked for the uniform bylaws.
Yeah.
And we finished this uniform bylaws during the trip, and it was presented to all the clergy in the 14th of November. Because in the 14th of November 1989, His Holiness yani celebrate his anniversary here in Los Angeles. And so it was a gathering of all the priests in North America. And I remember we have a meeting when we read the uniform bylaws articles by articles to get the approval of the clergy. And then after that, His Holiness signed it, and a group of bishops who involved in the Church of Land of Migration, all of us, we signed. That's why you find is a lot of signatures in the uniform bylaws.
Yes, because I remember there was about 10 bishops with His Holiness during that visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we started about 7 bishops, and then bishop added in the trip. But those start from the beginning, I think it was 7. I was the junior one. That's why they give me the camera.
So you have the historical records of that trip. Do you still have those tapes, Your Eminence?
Yeah, but I think in Egypt, في المونستري.
It would be
بس
interesting.
كان ساعتها تيبس كده صغيرة.
Yes,
يعني
yes. Your Eminence, what was your initial vision in the beginning when you arrived late in December of 1995?
يعني in my way coming here was His Eminence Metropolitan Hydra. We came in the same يعني flight for my installment. And while we were talking, I was reading the Discalia, what is the bishop, what is the responsibility of the bishop, يعني in the plane. Of course, يعني I read little talk with Amba Hydra, فهو he gave me an advice. He told me any new diocese is need at least 10 years. Which I took it, don't be in hurry. Just look the future and not focus on what current problem, but يعني look to the future and put long-term solutions. Not come with the immediate solution. Because of what happening before, people, they want a bishop. But many people, they see the bishop as a person who will come, will solve all this problem immediately because of authority, and also يعني get rid of priests, get rid of servants, and يعني كل what's happening in the church, because when you have a place with a bishop for a long time, and also tension between the churches, يعني people expect that, especially when a bishop coming, they know is يعني fully supported by the Pope. And but I avoided this. I said let me look to the future, and I have to build, firstly, I have to love all the priests. Because I say the church is hierarchical. The bishop, then the clergy, then the people. If you bypass the clergy, then you turn it upside down. So I have to focus. This is like my first church, my first group for pastoral care, the clergy. And first I have to love them. And I have to give them a clear message. I'm here to support you. I'm not here to control you. I am not here to judge you. I am here to support you. I want you to be successful priests. That is, have to be very clear. But we have to be one unity. You have to work together. And that's why I said to them, نحن we will have a regular clergy meeting, and part is the liturgy and part is the meeting. For me, the liturgy more important than the meeting.
Yeah.
Because if we succeed as a clergy to pray the liturgy with pure and conscience, then we are very successful.
Of course.
If we can't, or we pretend we are in peace with each other, then we are failed. So if you choose, if you have something, we choose between either to come to the liturgy, to the meeting, come to the liturgy. I say to you, come to the liturgy. And secondly, I said that I know there are a lot of issues which have different opinions, because the priest here, very good priest, and every one of them was a leader in his church coming from Egypt. And that's why they are very, very good, but to work together was a challenge. Because everyone used to be, he was a leader for a long time there.
And different schools as well.
That is what I mean here. يعني عشان كده كانت الكنائس churches they named by the name of the priest. يقول لك نروح كنيسة أبونا فلان، نروح كنيسة أبونا فلان. Because of the many churches in the area, so it's very easy. Is a tension in the church just to go to another church or start a new church. That's why starting a new church was a challenge, because always come because there is a problem of this church. And I said the clergy meeting is a safe haven, safe place for a discussion. You can discuss any issues, express your opinions. And I promise you, if I present an issue for discussion, I mean a discussion. If I already made our mind, I will not discuss. I said, this is a decision. I'm the bishop. I will not come to discuss things which I want you to say something, but because I don't need that. But after discussion, if we agree on anything, you have to follow.
Of course.
If you don't want, let me know, because I don't put pressure in the conscience of anyone. You personally don't do it. But the church is my responsibility. I will not ask you to do something which you are not convinced to do. But on the other hand, don't force it on the church.
Yeah.
And we thank God now, after 25 years, I said that is the most important and supportive and joyful thing for me is the clergy. We with all, I respect all of them and love all of them, and we work, and then added by the President of Bishops, Your Grace and Abraham, and because it's a great blessing. I didn't imagine when I came here I will reach this. Also, I focused on the areas which in need. And I don't focus on the big churches because they already exist. I go, مثلا, Bakersfield, Paisalia, Palmdale. That has helped me to go establish churches, find the priestess, and so on. And also, I had time at that time. And I focus on the youth because of my experience in the school, in the Bishop of Social Affairs. Your Grace was responsible for this diocesan youth committee
back in 96 and 97.
فده يعني it was through this I know now يعني Bishop Kyrillos, Abuna David, يعني many of the youth which I have priests now, I start knowing them this 25 years. So it helped me. يعني many of the families in the diocese, I knew them through the kids, the youth. يعني I know this is the father of Mary,
right,
the father
right.
of كده. مش Mary is the daughter of it. ولأن طبعا اليوث يعني is not everybody care for them. يعني I mean by youth high school, junior بتاع ده college. طبعا كل كنيسة focus and group who are supporting the church, and يعني this is يعني the church would come, people come and speak. لكن اليوث دول أنا كنت بسميه the silent hemorrhage. That silent, they just leave the church. No, they will not come and fight for anything in the church. They just leave.
Yeah.
And this we have to listen to them.
Of course.
And have to care for them.
So Your Eminence, what steps in particular did you take to achieve the vision? And how did this vision change during the past 25 years?
يعني the steps, our number one, the regular clergy meetings.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, the regular visits to churches, especially outside the area of condensed like Los Angeles or Orange County and go. Then establishing new churches, which I have a map there in my residence. I looked to the map, I watch the moving of the people. And then I decided to have a network of churches and put a goal that is anyone in the diocese can find a church within at least not more than 20-minute driving. And so, and I started this, I go establish, interact the people too. And I put a rule in any new church to start from a mother church. يعني the founding committee, the founding meeting to be in the church. You will do مثلا a church in Orange County. You can feature one church, Archangel Michael. So we met in Archangel Michael Church with the president of the priest. We will start a church in South Orange County, San Marino أول واحدة. وبعدين the priest serve there. So people feel they are not betraying their church when they go to a new church. Of course, people come, you are dividing the families, you are dividing the people, all these things.
Yeah.
But here I speak very highly about Abuna Philemon because he was one of very supportive to me in this vision, establish a new church, very welcoming, and Archangel Michael. We started by San Marino in south, then San Verena in the north, and then after that came the San Verena and the Suriel youth. They never complain like other churches. They never raise issues. And at the same time, still Archangel Michael is all the churches in Orange County, still the largest church. He added, he need more priests to serve in Archangel Michael, which of course give me a model, which helped it to in another places. طبعا كان في changes happen يعني number one, the language issue. يعني when I came يعني my expectation إنه within مثلا 10-15 years we will need Arabic, and Arabic it just just this is a transitional thing. Future is the English, but they do something. Let me change this. Number one, I noticed in some Egyptian Protestant churches, they attract our people. Says, go in the morning to your church, come in the afternoon, we have a cup of tea, not coffee, and we have a Bible study. This is draw my attention to one is lacking. We don't have Arabic meetings because we focus on English convention in English. The church now, we are moving more sermon in English. Just people at the end of the meeting of the liturgy, they can have an Arabic sermon. But people who came from Egypt, they used to have evening meeting when they have songs, prayer, Agbiya, and then have a sermon, send the questions. This doesn't exist. فI decided ان احنا we start to have اللي بنسميها العربيك youth meetings. فبدأت اشجع ده. ان احنا we need this.
And there was more immigrants still coming from Egypt at the same time, so they needed the Arabic services as well.
Yeah, because you are right. Yes, and also I felt because always the Protestant, Egyptian Protestant, they live on our people because they know that is the service generation, and they will go to American Protestant church, while they go to Arabic one.
Yes.
So they need that. So we have to be very careful. Also, we found that is in areas where there is no regular service, like in Palmdale, just to go Saturday, then a Protestant church started there to attract people. So now we ordain a priest. They stop that. So the language is very important. Regarding English, when I started with the idea to have, I noticed, the two liturgies in the church, Arabic, English. There is a problem, مثلا in Pittsburgh, and feast. I visit a family, and the family is the wife is not Coptic, not Egyptian, Coptic, American. But she asked me questions. Lately, it is necessary to celebrate the Saint Gregory liturgy on the feast. I told her it's not a condition, but we used to have this. But it doesn't mean we should. For why she asked this question? Because she go to church, the church usually on Sundays, most of the liturgy in English. But when it comes to the feast, it seemed in Abuna, he prayed most of the Gregorian liturgy in Arabic because it's easier. But when she got lost.
Yeah.
Then this is, draw my attention to a problem. And in the feast, you will have one liturgy. Sometimes a guest, a speaker, a bishop visiting, a nas attending the vesper. They don't know the sermon whether to be in English or to be in Arabic. Hena it came the idea to have a church English,
yes.
English and Coptic. And then we discover which is St. Venus Helios. And then after that, by the time I discover the language is not enough, the culture. And then it started the American Coptic churches.
Yeah.
By time evolved understanding based on the need of the people.
It's a very wise decision, and we can see how all these churches are flourishing and growing, and the great need for that ministry for those people.
Now مثلا we need more Arabic than in 1995.
Wow, that's very interesting.
The Arabic now is needed more. And I find difficulty to find a candidate, a bilingual candidate to be ordained than to have an English candidate. لأنه طبعا
it's usually the opposite.
But now we reach it to this because we have good candidates from English, but there are churches they need the bilingual, and it's very hard to find the bilingual here. Why? Because if he is coming from Egypt and serve here, usually he used to the service in Egypt, and he cannot fit very easily here.
Yes.
And of course, a very good servant, which we have, but the English is not up, is not the level of serving. And we pass the phase when a priest who barely know English and just to learn. We cannot accommodate this.
Yeah, of course.
People expect the difference. That's why servant is different. That's why many good servants was in Egypt, when they come here, because of the culture, because of the way, they cannot serve.
Yes.
As they used in Egypt, because used in certain things.
Yeah.
فعايز بقى to be lucky انه to have someone he came here when he was 17, 19, still no, but he go and spend time here, so his English, his cultural, and this kind is not an easy to find.
Yeah.
Now and on the list of 3 candidates English, while I don't find any bilingual candidate, while many churches want the
amazing.
Maybe we export.
Your Eminence, if I can move to the next question about what were the obstacles that were met along the way in the 25 years, and what were some of the main achievements? If you could talk to us a little bit about that.
The obstacles, mainly, when you move for any new things, you have different opinions, and people react differently. They have some people who react in an objective way, try to understand, and people react emotional way. And of course, I suffered from that. I have people who make a protest against me, distribute pamphlet against me, and I saw a lot of things like this.
We've all experienced that, Your Eminence.
But I always say, anything, there is an emotional phase. Just bear with it. And then until this emotional phase to pass, people will realize what we are doing. That is the reaction of people. Now, because of the social media, and now we face another problem, which is the reaction from people in Egypt, because we didn't have that before. Because now everything is coming very public.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult because it adds to the emotional part. It's lack of understanding, because they live in different things. They don't understand what we are facing.
Exactly.
This is another challenge for us. And that also the challenge also when we don't have a platform when we can have a good discussion as a bishops. So when some bishops now started to be involved in our affairs without any discussion, it's create problem, because we don't want to go public against each others. This is another issue, hopefully, the Holy Synod to find a way, because before that, this phenomenon did not exist in the church. His Holiness Pope Shenouda, if you go and agree with, just for me, Egypt was Pope Shenouda. Now, Egypt is not only His Holiness Pope Tawados, even if we agree on something, and then find some bishops who, out of blue, coming and involved and speaking publicly, even without contacting me to discuss the things with me, which I don't want to go. This is another, it will not stop us from moving, but it create some problems, of course. Another obstacles, our challenges is the change. We have changed demography. People moving, people change, people coming, people leave. Here in California, sometimes you find the economy is good, people coming from other states. Economy is bad, people leaving to other states. Then after 2011, it was what happened in Egypt. Many families came. Some of them, they send the wife and the kids. and the husband Egypt. That is put on us a burden, very difficult pastoral.
Of course.
And some of them even when the dollars increase for rate, they cannot afford to cover the expenses here. They put also a burden. Another challenge is increasing number of families who are in need of support. That did not exist. And at the beginning, it's very hard to find a family and need financial support from church. It can be food bank, something like this. But now, that's why we established a department which is like a Bishop of Social Affairs here,
right,
and development. Another challenge is now the meaning of youth is moved. We used, when we speak about youth, we speak about high school, college, graduate. But now youth mean families. And these families, they are kids, they have different needs. And we have to respond to this need of this. They have also their ideas, their way of thinking. They want their church to be involved in the issues in the American society. And when came the issue of racism, and so we why we be involved? We don't have this problem in our church, and we know there is a political part. But some, they said, no, you have to. We need our church to be part of it. That's why at the end we did a statement when we sent Mass and greeting for the Independence Day. It was first time.
Yes,
people about to receive it. They need to see their church. On the other hand, we have a people. They need to see churches as Egyptian church.
yeah.
So we have these two group of people who have the right, who came from here. I want to see my church is I still in Egypt. Only thinking what's going of Egypt, which is that is the right. I cannot deny this. We have another people who also care for Egypt, but we are in America.
That's
we have to be part of this society.
Of course. How to integrate the church into the American society that we are living in. I think it's really critical.
And our problem is the integration. When you say it in Arabic, to Americanize it.
It's misunderstanding.
that أمرك معناها something negative.
Yes.
وبعدين دايما يجي لك الله دي معناها separation.
Yes.
The phobia of separation, which exists in their mind in Egypt, not here.
Yes.
We never have any people call for that. We never have a movement like this here, but it only coming from people in Egypt, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bit of scaremongering, which is some total misunderstanding of the reality and what, as Your Eminence said, that the church is facing here. So.
Because the people who visit us, either bishops or priests, they go to a certain group of people. They don't go deeper. Like I used to do. When I was a bishop of Ecumenical and Social Affairs, I come to America, but I come for a purpose.
Yeah.
I come for bliss. I come for a mission. So I know I visit some groups, which I know, but I never be involved in the issues which existing here. And of course, I'm not responsible. I just give an answer, like we get. People come and answer, give an answer which unrealistic answers.
It's very true. It's very interesting. Some of these challenges, and I'm sure that they will continue and they will take a lot of time to be able to solve them. And with Your Eminence's wisdom, I'm sure that slowly we'll be able to get through them. So now let us look at a few images of Pope Shenouda III's visit and consecration of a unique church, and that is the Church of St. Mina in Riverside, California. So, Your Eminence, what is unique about this parish? And why was Pope Shenouda III so interested to follow the progress of the building of this church?
Because يعني the land when it was bought there, it was not planned to be parish church. It was bought by St. George Church Bellflower to be a youth retreat house. That's why they went far away in these mountains.
Right.
And then by time the idea changed to be a parish church. When a parish church has a division, people who in the area, they felt that this is يعني a fantasy to have a church there in the mountain, how to build it, how it will cost, who will go there, especially when كانش في road. When there is a rain, people cannot even reach there. يعني Abuna Ibrahim Aziz used to go Saturdays to pray there in the trailer. يعني on Saturdays. Some Saturdays he couldn't go, especially in winter. When Abuna Daniel, blessed memory, was ordained and decided to have the priest, it was a maquette of the church. So he said, I was ordained and God will يعني provide to build the church. Some people, they feel this is يعني the dreams. So they started the church of San Abanub. They bought land, already existing church, and that is very easy. We don't wait until we have in the mountain. And in one of His Holiness Pope Shenouda visits, they told him, this project is failed project. Cannot have a church there. Abuna Baba Shenouda told this to Abuna Ibrahim get upset. And the first time I see Abuna Ibrahim is upset with talking with the Pope in this way. A very kind person, but he emotionally. His Holiness said, okay, I will go and see myself. قالوا له ما فيش شعب, no people there. فتبنوا كنيسة لمين؟ فرحنا. We went there. طبعا هم they called the people from St. Mary, St. George. And he found the mountain full of people. طبعا بوب شنودة understand بس فهم ان في enthusiasm حتى لو في people not from the church, but at least there is enthusiasm for building the church. From this moment, in every trip we have to go to San Mina to see the
progress.
طبعا ابونا دانيال كان عشان صعيدي بكلم صعيدي وراجل يعني very enthusiastic. فكان His Holiness love to go and joke with him ويتابع معاه. وطبعا هم كانوا بيحسوا السبورت بتاعه لحد ما اتبنت ويعني His Holiness came especially to consecrate the church that
Yes,
he loves the church, he loves the project, he follows the project. Of course, he encouraged the commitment of Abuna Daniel and the people in Homa. They continue for 11 years praying in trailer and never give up in this church to be built.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful churches here. I love praying there whenever I get the chance. It just
besides the beauty of the church as a building, but the beauty of how it was built.
Yeah.
إنه
the dedication.
Abuna Father Daniel, he built the community around the project.
Yes.
في كنايس تبقى الكوميونتي موجودة, الcongregation when start the project of building a division يحصل.
Yes.
Those who remained with him for project, the other who went to other church, they continue and they taught them by every step how God is working with us.
Yeah.
He built the community around the building the church. عشان كده بقول لما when no church, which style you want to build your church? Sanmina style or other style.
I hope they choose the Sanmina style.
Not easy. Need faith, need leadership.
That's very true. Your Eminence, I think the next two questions you probably partially answered, or maybe you may want to add anything more. And that was about the main challenges that you see in your ministry today, and what are some of the cultural issues that are being faced here in the USA.
طبعا the major issue بالنسبة لي the major issue is the future of the church. يعني I always look to the future, and يعني I see the يعني our church is, if we want to remain, يعني if we are in transit here in America, just because there are some immigrants came, we serve them, and after stop the immigration, then we go back to our country. But if our vision, which this is my vision, I think a vision of everyone here, and we came here to remain. We are not here as a transit.
Yeah.
But if we want to remain, so we have to be integrated in the society. That's why when we started the Coptic American Church, of course, it was resistant for that. Why call American? Why this means separation? I said yes. We started as a parallel, but they converge. And it's not continue parallel, but it will coming to one point to meet when all our churches to be a real American Coptic churches integrated on society. That's why I started the process of establishing just a church, even moving priests to serve there. And now in the other churches, I started a process to ordain English priest in this church, Archangel Michael, hopefully there one and Pope Kyrillos,
right,
and St. George. في أبونا دلوقتي موجود أبونا أنطونيوس. فليه I don't want this church, it's just a church to serve the parent, and when the kids go up to go to the other church. And I want to make a change for all, so we are all moving to be integrated in the society, because this is the cause of the survival of our Coptic Orthodox Church in Egypt, and integrated in the society,
yes,
and not become as a ghetto outside the site. That's why we are moving. And I put the churches in generation: first generation, second, G1, G2, G3. من أول church has Arabic, English. That's generation 1. Generation 2 في 2 liturgy. Generation 3 is English. Generation 4 Coptic American culture. Generation 5 is to go to the community where there's no Coptic community and start like some Good Shepherd Church.
Yes. So more church planting in some of these areas where there is no Copts.
This is the fifth phase.
And that's a very, very important phase, and that is really going to be the success of our continuation, I think, in America. So this is a really very wonderful vision.
How to keep the Orthodox faith while to present it in American culture. Yes. I believe the Orthodox faith is above any culture, but it should be presented in a culture.
Yes.
So the challenge for us, can our Orthodox faith, which united us with the church in Egypt, which we carry here, can this faith, can we present it like language? Can I speak theological issues in Arabic, in English, while I have to say it in Greek?
Yeah.
So of course, we do this. So it needs new terminology, some difficulties, but this is the only way. If I say you have to learn Greek to speak in our any theological issue, how many people would learn Greek now?
Yeah, that's right.
And with which Greek? Modern or old Greek? Yeah. But the same also. Do you want to be Egyptian, to be a member firstly, like مثلا هم to join the Gentile, you have to be a Jew, then to be Christian. فهنا برضه, Do you have to be Egyptian culturally to be member of the church?
Of course not.
Well, you can join the church while you are American.
Of course.
That is the issues.
So it's very important, I think, your Eminence, to how to base the faith in the culture that you are living in and in the society that you're living in, because otherwise it just will not work, and you will not be able to evangelize to people, that are living all their life in American culture, and you try to bring Egyptian culture into it, just does not fit. So this really needs to be worked out, and I don't know if we're quite yet there, but I think we're on the way. And more studies, research, how to do this properly, I think is required.
Yes, and also to study our living tradition, and our living tradition which we received. There are things added to it, cultural things, how to purify it from the cultural things.
Yes.
So we have to go back to study our tradition and differentiate between things which are added because of the culture and with things which are essential and important of our faith. And this is one of the challenges today, because people focus on the secondary things and leave the major things. Also the different needs. One of the challenge in the community here, because of this varieties in community. So we have different needs. You have the people coming from Egypt. We have people who are here for 30 years. We have people who go up here. We have people who join the church. How you can balance all of this?
Yeah.
That is the issue. So that is why we speak about the pastoral need. You can find a solution for a certain group, but it shouldn't be to everyone.
Yes, true.
And we have to accept these varieties. These varieties, like churches, why we accept to have an English liturgy and Arabic liturgy. If we discuss, we have to agree in one liturgy. We will not. The only solution have to both.
Of course, yeah. So moving on from that, Your Eminence, a little bit more, looking forward towards the next 25 years of your ministry. May God give you long life. What is Your Eminence's vision for the future other than this point that you have been discussing right now?
To develop a methodology to respond to the pastoral need. And this methodology, which I said it in 3 steps. Number 1, to study what is the pastoral need and make a criteria, what is a real pastoral need and what is convenient for the people. We will not move according to what's convenient for the people, but what is the real pastoral need, which I say, if the goal of the pastoral service is to bring everyone perfect in Christ, so it should need to help them for life of perfection, for their salvation. Essential things. And then, after we study the needs, then we go back to the tradition, to the history, to find a solution, maybe find a model and find example. And then we take it and apply it according to what we have now. If we succeed to develop this methodology, and it will help us to move forward and achieve what we mentioned before. Because we have either we be stagnant and they no change. This is the church. We have to be like this. If you like it, take it. If you don't like, we are sorry. Or we submit to the culture which you are living here, and after that we be like a salt lost its flavor. So we don't want to go either way.
Yeah.
Because either way are dangerous.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be a museum.
That's true.
And we don't want to be a salt without flavor.
Yeah. And now church has always been dynamic and able to adapt in a positive way to the situation that it's living in.
Yeah. And hopefully we can succeed to achieve this with a peaceful relationship with the church in Egypt.
Which is my next question. Yeah, how how can we continue a strong relationship with the church in Egypt and also with other dioceses?
Yeah, with the Church of Egypt, number one, we have to be clearly convinced and working. This is our mother church. And like you guys said, this umbilical cord, if you cut it, we are inseparable part of the church. And like your mother, you will not change your mother, whatever happened from your mother. On the other hand, we ask your mother to realize that we grow up.
Yeah. Yes.
The church in land of migration in America is not the child, not the baby which you enjoy carrying. Now they are adult. They now have 50 years. So we have our needs. And that's why I appreciate His Holiness Pope Tawadros in his understanding, as he's expressed, there are different needs there. Even he put it, this is the things which we have to carry it because of we are expanded. ده الثمن اللي بندفعه. حتى لو اعتبرتوها burden بس لازم نعمل كده.
But that's an enlightened vision from His Holiness, sure. And is very much needed.
Sure, that is why I hope in this vision to be also for the other bishops and other leaders in the church. Now there are bishops in the land of immigration. We should not need to always prove that you are committed to the church. I don't need to do this every time. If I am not trustworthy, don't take me back to Egypt.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be in a position I have to prove it, as if I am accused of want to be separated until I prove the opposite. It is the opposite because I don't have any reason for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a responsibility toward my baby.
Of course.
So I hope to have a kind of understanding of that. And we are one in faith and will never be away in faith. We are one in right. But at the same time, we have to do exceptions to handle the situation which we are facing. If you want no exception and just to control from there, then it will be ended. And after you are killing the church here, or just pushing the church out. Yeah. Maybe not our generation, because we don't know about what is coming on. Our new generation, all they love the church there. They love the people there. When we send the missionary trips there, they love Egypt. But at the same time, they want Egypt to understand.
Of course.
لأن لما حصل الديبيت بتاع 25s, people shocked من الرياكشن بتاع people. Why you are angry?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Your Eminence, in a moment. And I think for some people, at least in Egypt, or maybe many, they still see the churches abroad or in the lands of immigration as a novelty. They still don't quite get it. And I think that's why some of this negativity that's out there. And I think, if we stay stagnant, or the church in Egypt or many in Egypt want us to stay in that stagnant position, I think the upcoming generations will not put up with this here in the lands of immigration. Can Your Eminence now perhaps address this reaction to having a second celebration for Christmas on December 25 for pastoral reasons? And in addition to this, what is the case study that Your Eminence prepared that will be presented to the Holy Synod?
Yeah, I think the discussion which happened is missed the main points. The main point was not whether we celebrate in second celebration for some groups on the 25th. But the major point for me was there is a need here. And this need is existing for over 50 years. We tried to ignore it. It didn't go away. And there are people who are calling for a change of calendar, people calling to have a decision that's to celebrate 25th for all the land of immigration, which I have some concerns on that. And we are trying to find a solution for this issue. Nobody comes and say, what is the need? They took the issue and know how to change the 25th. And then discussing about 7th of January is the right one. And so this is out of discussion. We are not discussing about who is right, 25th or 29th. Okay. We don't discuss this. And we don't say that is now in the Diocese of Los Angeles, we will have two celebrations. We simply say that is if there is a need. And there's a big difference between the two.
Yes.
Yeah. But we missed this point because it was a more emotional. Part of it was also on my side because I don't ignore, and I got emotional some of my responses. I don't ignore that. And I regret it. Inama, we missed the major point. That's my hope if this issue is to be discussed in another platform in Holy Synod or in a committee. And we discuss the major point. The major point is what we can do about the pastoral need. How we define the pastoral need. Mm-hmm. How we find a solution. What is the difference between I make a change in my diocese and make exception? And what is the alternative? Okay, but what is the alternative? بس الناس تقول okay ممكن تعملوا قداس يوم 25th, not change the rite, but we speak out celebration because the liturgy, you have liturgy every day. Mm-hmm. People want to celebrate. There are a group of people who cannot celebrate the nativity feast because of that. Not everyone, but either we say to them it's not important, and if they say is the celebration of the feast is important, well, it's not important. And if one who grew up never celebrated the nativity feast, it is something okay? Well, it is important in their life. We celebrate the nativity of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Of course.
This is how the discussion to be. And then we have an example. في ناس تقول لك طيب ما الكنيسة عملت كده every 4 years عملت 2 celebration 29th 28th whatever the reason of it I will not discuss the reason if I know the reason but at the end we have 2 celebration we have a president example.
Yes.
This is the discussion which I hope to be انما الايموشن واللي طبعا we are victim of people who are against they thought this is a step to change the 25th. We said no. We said clearly we keep 29th. If we want to change it to 25th, why we go in this way? But the discussion was not right discussion. It's more an emotional things, especially على social media.
Yes.
إنما at the end we did it and we will continue to do it until there is alternative. لو جم قالوا اوكي احنا عايزين نعمل قرار كله 25th. Okay, thank you. We don't want to go to this step because not everybody wants that. Even within the diocese, there are many people who have no problem. Yeah. Only group of people, they have a problem. And this is growing group of people. He say, okay, but these people all will go to 25th. Why? This means everybody wants 25th. But then the idea in I close the possibility of 25th to push people to the 29th. Didn't work. We tried it for the language. At the beginning of the land of migration, we said no English in the church. We forced the kids to know Arabic. It failed.
Yeah.
فهتيجي تقول النهارده ممكن الكيدز تجيبهم، لكن النهارده في فاميليز. وبعدين الناس يقول لك اوكي why you put on me burden if it's not theological, it's not related to the faith. بعدين بقول هنا مثلا يوم 25th instead of مثلا saying agios annual we thought joyful tunes. Why a person in a village in Egypt have a problem with that?
And also, Your Eminence didn't impose this on all the priests and all the community in the diocese. You left it optional where there was a pastoral need in a particular church or particular parish.
يعني actually who took the decision, not me.
Yeah.
يعني I give the permission. If, but who decided is not me, is the priest with the congregation.
That's right. That's
فعشان
right.
كده قالوا طب افرض all the congregation قالوا we don't want okay that's fine. يبقى there is no problem.
That's
زي
right.
مثلا واحد بيقول لك ده مثلا يعني he sick cannot fast give him communion. طيب لو هيجي واحد he's not sick هيقول why he's sick. If he is not sick that's fine. أو نيجي تقول له مثلا instead of giving him communion give him the eulogия. But you want to take communion, it's not to take eulogia.
That's right.
زي ما يقول لك اعمل لهم سهرة روحية.
Yeah.
ما مش عايزين
That's
celebration.
right. Yeah. And they can't celebrate, with their families, with their extended families. And that is certainly a very critical, important pastoral need that people deserve to celebrate a major feast of the Lord.
لا يعني within ال 50 years دي من 1969 ما هو هنا في لوس أنجلوس before coming of أبونا بشوي كامل كانوا they celebrate on the 25th. لأنه they celebrate with the Syrian.
Yes.
يعني
that's right.
يعني when Pope Kyrillos became a pope in 1959 كان في debate in the church to change the calendar. And the Holy Synod met and discussed this issue. And the decision of the Holy Synod, no change of the calendar. This is in 1959 under Pope Kyrillos. But when the service in the land of migration started, the congregation here before 1969, they celebrate with the Syrian. So Pope Kyrillos, through Amba Samuel, gives them a permission to celebrate the 25th. Even with the decision of the Holy Synod. But he understood it. It is exception for a certain pastoral need.
Exactly.
That's why when Abuna Bishoy came, then he celebrated on the 7th because the need is ended.
Exactly.
That is exception for a temporal time. فاحنا بنقول this is exception for the temporal time. Until what? Either America decided to give us a holiday on the 7th of January, like Egypt, or the church decided to give us the permission to celebrate on the 25th, or the church changes the calendar. So it is a temporal thing.
Yes.
Find a solution for that.
Yeah. It's a beginning towards finding that solution, I think. And I think, again, it's a great vision from Your Eminence to think about the needs of every single member of your diocese. So,
and as I said, the major idea is how I can respond to the needs, ignore them or find a solution for them.
Yeah.
And when it comes the COVID-19 is a given example. Now the church use the same. Yani we have different ways of handling it because it's different from place to place. And the last decision of the standing committee is left to the reopening to every diocese. So it's the same principles.
That's true.
Be sure to tune in next week for part 4 of this 4-part series of the Silver Jubilee of Metropolitan Serapion's ministry in Los Angeles. His Eminence himself will be here to share some memories, relay some wisdom, and give some insight. It's one you won't want to miss. To join the conversation, please visit our website, coffeewithbishopsuriel.org. And don't forget, after you listen, you can really help out by rating the show. Thank you for listening to Coffee with Bishop Suriel, a podcast for all things Coptic. To join the conversation, please visit our website, coffeewithbishopsuriel.org. And always remember, the best way to start any morning is with God and a cup of coffee.